Yeah, come and join us at Sequoia Living REI, where we only talk about relevant topics, things that are important, things that help you grow, things that help you elevate. Come and join us.
Yeah.
Yeah, we having quality conversations with SNL. Yeah, we having quality conversations with SNL. Having quality conversations with SNL. Having quality conversations with SNL. Yeah, having quality conversations with SNL. Yeah, having quality conversations with SNL. Yeah, we're having quality conversations with SNL. Having quality conversations with SNL. Yeah.
What's going on, everybody?
What's up, everybody?
Yes, we are back with another episode of Conversations with SNL.
Yep, I'm Seth.
I'm Lashia.
And together,
we make Sequoia Living REI. Yes.
Let's get it, people.
All right, so we are ready to introduce today's podcast guest, Jonathan Prevo, a dynamic real estate wholesaler and the founder of Prevo Buys Homes. Based in Portsmouth, Virginia, Jonathan has made a significant impact in the real estate industry. At the age of 17, Jonathan kickstarted his career by successfully wholesaling his first deal, earning an impressive $7,500. Since then, he has become an expert in identifying lucrative investment opportunities throughout Virginia, leveraging his extensive network to connect buyers with profitable real estate deals. While his primary focus is in Virginia, Jonathan has also ventured into Baltimore, Maryland, completing notable wholesale transactions. His dedication to ethical practices and customer satisfaction is evident through his business's BBB accreditation. Jonathan's entrepreneurial drive has led him to expand his influence and expertise by actively working on acquiring an existing real estate business. Join us on this podcast to gain valuable insight from Jonathan's journey, learn about real estate wholesaling, and get inspired by his remarkable achievements. People, Jonathan Prevo. Jonathan Prevo, people.
Hey, how y'all doing today?
Yes.
Awesome. What's up, man?
So yeah, like I said, I'm glad that you guys can have me on. I'm very honored to be invited to this podcast. Very, very informative podcast, and something that definitely I would treasure for years to come.
Yes,
Definitely appreciate it. And listen up, people. This man, you know, he's young, but he has so much information. He has so much knowledge. He's done some things that adults haven't even done. You know, not saying that he's not an adult. He's grown. You know what I'm saying? He's doing his thing. So that's one thing. It's respect is due. And respect is given.
That's right.
So we're just gonna get into it like this. Just take his brain. Allow him to drop some knowledge. Get your pencils and papers out. And take heed to what he's about to tell you.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So basically, Jonathan. So what motivated you, to start in the real estate business, and how did you get started in the industry?
Well, actually, I had got started back in February 2021. I was working at a W-2 job at the time, Five Guys, and I came across at the time where they were calling it paper flipping. On social media, I thought it just wasn't real that you can flip paper for $10,000 or $15,000 per contract, and so I was I was open-minded to the idea, but I still was kind of skeptical of it. So, shout out to Delmar Cross and his company, Real Advisors in Tampa, Florida. They were the ones that helped me jumpstart my career, because I actually was on a 3-day training course with him and his corporation where they were offering, and essentially I just took a leap of faith and investment upon myself to quit Five Guys and do wholesaling full time.
Yes, that's awesome. Yes, I love that. All right. So what challenges have you faced as a young entrepreneur in the real estate industry, and how have you overcome them?
So the challenges I face is really, when you're wholesaling, it's what the famous saying is simple, but it's not easy. Deals fall through all the time. I've had numerous of deals falling through, whether it's title issues, whether it's with the buyer pulling out, whether it's, issues with the seller and just getting them to the price point I need to be at. I just had a lot of, downfalls and pitfalls with wholesaling, and still to this day you have letdowns, but you have to keep being persistent, because the only way you really lose is if you quit. And so I just telling myself that. And also, by me being young, not too many people are in real estate, wholesale, or in real estate in general at this age. And I know that, I didn't gain, the knowledge I do have for nothing. So I just tell myself every day, I refuse to live the pedestrian lifestyle, and, that, I'm doing that for me and my family. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
Definitely.
Yes.
And it's like that knowledge is gonna take care of you and your family, for the rest of your life, and generations to come. Because it's like what you're doing, you weren't taught that in school. You had to be a seeker, of knowledge and understanding of what's really going on, and you went after it, you went after it, you got an understanding. So you already on like an amazing path, to create, like wealth.
Generational wealth.
Real wealth, not just being rich, So yeah, that's another, tip my hat off. I ain't got one on right now, but tip it off to you,
Yeah.
Moving. All right, so what strategies have you used to build your brand and establish yourself as a successful real estate entrepreneur?
Well, mainly the number one strategy I've been using is this cold outreach, whether it's through Facebook or Instagram. I'm not afraid to hit people up, whether they respond or not. I did my part. Most of my most coveted relationships have come from cold outreach, such as Facebook, Messenger, and Instagram. I've built wonderful connections, and like I said, really good solid friends through just reaching out. And I believe that's the number one way to really jumpstart your brand. If you don't have a lot of money to spend on marketing, it's organically just reaching out and seeing who will want to work with you.
All right. So I know I'm gonna throw you a curveball real quick, but I just wanted to ask you, with the cold outreach, how do you deal with the people who aren't so happy about you contacting them, and how do you stay motivated when they give you that kind of negative energy?
Well, honestly, it hasn't been too many. It's pretty rare. But for the people I feel like that don't want anything to do with you or want to work with you, sometimes I used to, wear my feelings on my sleeve and take it pretty harshly. But at the end of the day, the conversion rate for people who wanting to work with you versus the people who might not be that excited is way 10 times higher than the people who don't. So I just feel like just don't give up, don't get discouraged, and it's really a numbers game. If you hit up 100, let's say if you hit up 20 people per day, I would say maybe 1 out of 20 might leave you on red or might not even respond, and that's okay. At the end of the day, you just got to keep it moving.
All right. Yeah. So how have you adapted your business model to meet the changing demands of real estate market, particularly in light of the COVID pandemic?
So that's a good question. So interestingly enough, I actually officially started my real estate business during the pandemic. So like I said, I started back in 2021 in February, and was struggling, I was struggling a lot. I, didn't have a sense of direction, no clear mentor, just really doing the most old school but yet effective way possible, which was driving for dollars at the time. And so really I kind of started in the midst of all the mess with COVID, and I think that's the best ideal place for me to start, or for any business owners, because you go through the trials and tribulations at first, and you're able to navigate and find out a way how to pull through and to still thrive. I think down the road, when it's easier times, if you will already be built for that and not struggle as much. So I started during the pandemic, and I struggled for a long time, but eventually I pulled through, and that's when I closed my first deal.
That's awesome.
That's all right. Within that first deal, what was like the most memorable experience you had dealing in real estate so far?
Does it have to be good or bad?
It doesn't matter.
Either or, you can share both.
I remember, I believe it was the same summer, 2021. I was working on this huge land deal in Morganton, North Carolina. And I found that lead by for sale by owner. At the time, like I said, I had no sense of direction. So I really didn't understand that for sale by owners are not the best leads to really work with because the motivation is not really there. But I was working with this one guy, and I was thinking we were, progressing. And, I had another guy named Guy Henson. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's a home investor, and he was working with me on this deal. And long story short, the guy, he came, we hopped on the conference call, and it was some developers or builders who were interested in his plot of land and offered him the price. Unfortunately, he was very dissatisfied, and because he was dissatisfied with the pricing and how that went, he threatened me and Guy and said he was going to call the police and we were scammers. He just, harassed us. And so that really taught me, you know, you're going to deal with people like that in the real world, and you have to always remember that this is the public you're dealing with. You can't please everybody. And even though, that was a bad situation I was in, it just taught me that early on that, it's just only a taste of what's to come, good and bad. And that, don't let people rattle you or even scare you into, stop doing what you love. So.
That sounds good. I think about like the fact that I know like some of the friends that you probably had like growing up and like going through school, like you couldn't even have this type of conversation with them. You know what I'm saying? It's like they wouldn't know what you're talking about, or they might just brush it off, and you might come across like their parent. You might come across like their parent to them. So I don't know if you deal with anything like that with like recognizing some of the people that you went to school with growing up, how the path that you chosen so early, you already see like a slight separation.
Correct. So I personally never had that problem because I always kept my circle tight. People I consider my homeboys or friends, if you will, are the same people that were there years ago. Recently I have encountered somebody that we think alike, and I really do think we have the same mindset and for the most part values, and so I've kind of brought him into my circle. But for the most part, I really just have always been the type of person that's friendly, outgoing, charismatic. But I knew who my true friends were at the end of the day. Most people are associates, and that's how it stays for the most part. But I never let anybody deter my thinking, and all I can do is just give game and give knowledge. It's up to them whether to receive it or not. So
that's awesome.
That is awesome. Yeah.
That goes right into this question right here. So what advice do you have for other young entrepreneurs who are interested in starting a business, particularly in the real estate industry?
Well, my advice is to go out to network, and just meet as many people as you can. Another famous saying, I think it's a book, it's about who you know, not what you know. And so if you can get the people and the foundation, I think you can get a deal way quicker, or it could be an expedited process faster than doing it yourself or trying to figure out. So I would just say it's about who you know and just building that foundation. And actually that's how, even though it took me 11 months to get my first deal, I have one real estate agent that, it's kind of like the foundation of my success, because she and her husband, gave me a lot of free game. And matter of fact, they were the buyers on that first deal. So I would say to my advice for them is to, just build your networking system out and just get out and network, whether it's events, seminars, webinars, whatever. Just do what you have to do to be able to meet the right people. Then the deals and money will come along the way.
That's right.
Awesome advice.
Now, I know you said that you've always been kind of outgoing and charismatic. But what would you say to the person who is more introverted and have a harder time speaking to people? How would you advise them to connect with people?
My personal advice for that, because I used to not think that people who are introverted would last in this business, if I'm being honest, because this business, all you're doing is talking, whether it's to buyers, sellers, title people, real estate agents, or whatever. But what I would say is that, I think cold calling is a good way to maybe get into getting out your comfort zone, because you're not looking at the people face to face. And it's since everything is basically virtually, you know, you can essentially avoid the weird, awkward eye contact and stuff like that. So I would say cold calling could be one tool. Another tool can just be, like I said, going to these networking events, maybe just practicing talking to people in person, so that way it will translate when you're going to sell on appointments or whatever, that you'll feel more comfortable with them because of having the practice of going to these networking events or cold calling or whatever it is. Or you could just be the person behind the scenes. Maybe you have no interest in doing that at all. Maybe you can be a vital part of somebody else's business, whether it's on the tech side, whether it's on the administrative side or whatever. It's always a way to kind of break out that shell.
That's awesome. Yes, I like that a lot. And I know Paige talks about that a lot too. You might not be the person who wants to stand in front of everybody else, but maybe acquisitions. Have you seen that video about avatars?
Yeah.
Finding your avatar?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. What would you say your avatar is?
It's funny you mentioned it because I just asked somebody to send me that chart a couple of days ago, and he did. One of the people that are in sub 2. I say, if I can remember, I would say direct to seller. That's one of my avatars, a connector of people. And dang man, I wish I had it right in front of me.
That's all right.
Yeah, connector of people, direct to seller, and I think that's all I can think of as of right now. But I know it's like 50 avatars on that list. And I think direct to seller and the connective people really do embody me, because you can ask anybody, and not to brag on myself, whenever somebody needs something as far as knowing the right person, and I'm able to connect for the most part each other. Direct to seller is definitely the way to go for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yes. All right. So let us know about your brand and what your brand represents.
So Prevo Buys Homes is pretty straightforward. It's with my name, and really I wanted something different because you get your fast cash offer or 24-hour cash offer, whatever you want to call it. I felt like it just had a personal touch to it with my name, and ultimately I can establish a legacy because and my name is in it, and my reputation means a lot building that. I wanted it to stand out too to potential sellers who are looking to get a cash offer because it has a nice ring to it. Prevo is definitely an uncommon last name. But my mission statement for my business is to provide world-class service to anybody that we encounter, whether it's a buyer or a seller or whatever. Mainly, for the seller side, because if you can be different and stand out from your competition, I think that will help you along the way into locking up and securing more deals.
Awesome. Yeah, awesome.
That's all right.
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
He dropped a lot of knowledge, people.
Yes.
Yep.
So if you could, I know that you're investing here in the Hampton Roads. Are there any other markets that you're interested in? Maybe investing in the future, or got anything coming up?
Well, funny enough, actually, I really haven't gotten too much traction in this area. So all my deals currently and that I'm working on and leads I've ever gotten right now, it's been out of state. So such as Ohio, North Carolina, Georgia's one. I know I really like San Antonio and Texas, might do a little bit more there in the future. But primarily right now, Ohio and North Carolina, those are really hot markets right now for, wholesale transactions. And there's so many, smaller markets too that people really sleep on that you can really dominate with an effective strategy and obviously money to spend on marketing. So those are the states I'm really looking at right now.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Man is closing deals.
Yes.
Closing deals, people. He's getting them, lining them up and knocking them down.
Yes.
Yeah. So look, if somebody wants to reach out to you, want to link up, do some business, or just, they have a property, they want to reach out to you, what's the best way that they can connect?
You could connect to my business email, which is Prevo Invest LLC@gmail.com. If you have any deals you need help moving, if I can't personally move it, I have connections that can. But for the most part, if it's a good deal, I can obviously move it. Second of all, my Instagram is DAREII investor. So P the REI investor. And I'm working on building a branding page, so that can be one way as well. Also, I'm on Facebook. It should just be Jonathan Prevo, and you can just hit me up anytime. I'm looking to work with anybody that needs help, or maybe just people that are investors, buyers looking for their next good wholesale deal. Looking to add you to my buyers list, and it's really easy to get in contact with me. So yeah, that's the best way.
Yeah.
Reach out, people.
Yeah.
Reach out.
And we'll be sure to put all of your contact information in the details so that people can reach out to you.
Okay. Yes.
All right. Yes. Thank you so much, Jonathan, for joining us on our show. It's been a pleasure. We learned a lot. I know that this is going to help a lot of people, inspire a lot of people, and motivate them. All I can say is just keep up what you're doing. You're doing an amazing thing.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yes, it's been an honor.
Yep. All right, we're going to close it out. Look,
Yes.
don't forget, I'm Seth.
I'm Lashia.
Yep.
We make Sequoia live in REI.
Yeah. Having quality conversations with SNL. Yeah, we're having quality conversations with SNL. Having quality conversations with SNL. Yeah.